Airbnb investments in Orlando. What are the risks? Let's find out. Hey, my name is Sills. I'm a licensed realtor here in the Central Florida area. I'm also an Airbnb owner and Airbnb host, and I want to do a topic today on Airbnb investments in Orlando. What are the risks? So we know that Airbnb has taken over the short-term rental space. People don't say short-term rental anymore, they say Airbnb. Obviously, Airbnb is short-term rental, but people don't normally link it together. So short-term rental has been going on for a very long time, even before Airbnb existed. But Airbnb kind of came on the market, and they have been in business for a very long time, and they kind of dominated the short-term rental space. And a lot of people are interested in doing an Airbnb, but the question is, what are the risks? What if it doesn't work out? What if it doesn't get rented? What are the benefits, right? So some of the risks obviously are you buy a home for Airbnb, and the home in Orlando has to be zoned that way. And before I go any further, let me explain that Orlando is a big town, right? So Orlando is a big area, and that's where the airport is. But in Orlando itself, Airbnb is zoned where the owner has to live in the property to use it as an Airbnb in Orlando itself, unless it's a condo hotel down on International Drive or something like that, right? So Orlando itself is not zoned for short-term rental if you're renting out a whole house by itself. And I know you're saying, what are you talking about? The areas that are zoned for short-term rental in Orlando are going to be on the outskirts of Orlando. So it's going to be closer to Disney World. And shocker, Disney World is not in Orlando. Disney World is in Lake Buena Vista, Kissimmee. So between Kissimmee and Lake Buena Vista is where Disney World is actually located. But they use Orlando because that's our major airport, and that's where people are flying through. So the areas in Orlando, or the Orlando area I should say, that are zoned for short-term rentals are going to be Kissimmee, Davenport, and Claremont, within that triangle right there. And Disney sits in the middle of that, right? So in the middle is Disney, then you have Kissimmee, which is the closest area to the Disney World property. Then we have Claremont, and then we have Davenport. And then there's certain zip codes in these cities that allow short-term rental. So if you're looking to invest in Airbnb in the Orlando area, you have to be aware that if you're buying the property, the HOA has to agree, and it has to be in a covenant that is zoned for short-term rental. Not every home is going to be zoned for short-term rental, even though it's in the Orlando area. Even if it's close to Disney World, it doesn't necessarily mean it's zoned that way. So it's going to be very, very important that before you purchase anything, whether it be a home, a townhome, or a condo, you know for sure that it's zoned that way. I don't know what's going on with my throat today. I'm trying to do this video series this morning and my throat is messing me up. I apologize for that. So the first thing you want to know is the home I'm looking to buy zoned for short-term rental? I'm not sure what area you're going to be in watching this video, but in Orlando itself, or in Central Florida I should say, most of the developments or most of the communities are governed by HOA. HOA stands for Homeowners Association. They're going to be under Homeowners Association. These Homeowners Association dictate the uses of their community, what the home should look like, what paint color it should have on the outside, what the roof color should be, all this stuff. Some of the communities are stricter than others. The thing about being an HOA is most of the communities that are desirable for Airbnb in the Disney World area are going to be in an HOA. Most of them will be gated and have 24-hour security as well. Not all of them, but some are. The ones that give the more amenities, such as beachfront pool, restaurants, gym, sauna, all that stuff, are going to possibly be gated with 24-hour security. There are a few other communities that give this, but they're not gated, but they are not, but they're few. So if you want to be within 15 minutes of Disney World, if you're looking to invest in Airbnb and want to be within 15 minutes of Disney World, you're most likely going to be in a community with an HOA. A lot of times I get phone call with people telling me, well, I want to have an Airbnb, but I don't want an HOA. That's going to work against you because the HOA is going to govern the community, make sure it's uniform, make sure it's in, make sure it's looking good, make sure that you don't have someone putting stuff outside in front of your house and making it look horrible. Think about going into a community, you rented an Airbnb, you're going in a community and it's not good, right? You see trash all over the place, people have all kind of furniture in front of their houses. That would not be good. So the HOA helps to govern this. The HOA also helps to maintain the amenity areas like the kids play area, the kids splash pad, the water park, the pool, the gym, the sauna, the restaurants, all the stuff that the community offers, which you will be advertising to your guests to stay at your home. That's part of an HOA. So an HOA is not a bad thing. The HOA becomes a bad thing when you don't understand their rules and their regulations, and you're like, well, why are they saying I can't do this, or why are they saying I can't do that? But if you're buying for Airbnb, then more than likely you would need to know their rules and regulation and pass it on to your guests. Stuff like don't leave things outside. Believe it or not, there are guests that will come, rent a pool home or whatever it is, and decide to barbecue in front of the house. Right? They don't figure they should barbecue in the pool area or maybe on the side of the home. They want to barbecue in front of the house. That's a no-no. There are also guests that will come and they'll start pumping up very loud music, at midnight. That's not cool. Most communities are going to have quiet hours between 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. or sometimes between 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. or something like that. But you want to make sure that you are aware of what the community rules are and pass it on to your guests as you book. So what would be some of the risks? Some of the risks would be buying a property that is not zoned for short-term rental and finding this out after you close on the property. That's not good. Another one would be buying the home and it's not rented at all, right? Another one would be buying the home and not updating it. It's not updated at all and just put it on the market like, okay, I'll just put this on the market. So those are some of the things that would affect it. Some of the other risks could be buying a home that's not buying in a community that is not short-term rental friendly, meaning they may allow short-term rental in there, but let's say 90% of the people in that community are homeowners and 10% kind of do Airbnb or short-term rental. They're not going to be liking the fact that you're doing short-term rental, so they may also have a problem with that as well, right? So that's some of the things you need to pay attention to. Also, what are the amenities in the community? What is being offered there? So those are the stuff you need to look into that could be very risky for you. The kind of property management that you hire is going to be a problem as well. The kind of property manager you hire is going to play an issue as well. Are you going to self-manage or are you going to do a property management company? If you're going to self-manage, is everything automated? Do you know how to get things automated? That may be a problem, right? Also, not automating the home, putting it on the platform, and then guest comes in and they open the sliding doors because the pool is outside, and they just keep the sliding door open so your air conditioning keep going, and next thing you know, you have the most expensive electric bill you could think of, right? And there are ways to stop this. You could automate it so that if they open the sliding doors and they don't close it, the AC will shut itself off and it will not come back on until they close it again. So these are some of the stuff that can be automated. Also, having a smart thermostat, right? That may be a risk. They may turn it down to 65 and freeze your AC system. And it's a very expensive thing when the AC system is frozen. That may be an expensive thing, but this also could be automated, right? They might leave and not lock the door, right? They have a break-in. That could also be automated. So automation is going to play a big role in having a successful Airbnb. Not having an automation is going to be a big risk because you can't see or control anything. You have no idea if they're just having the back doors wide open and having the AC at 65 degrees inside and then calling and telling you that the AC doesn't work because it froze, right? So those are some of the risks as well. So most of the risk can be avoided, right? So we have what is called calculated risk. The calculated risk would be someone having raving reviews on Airbnb. They're thinking they'll be a great fit for your Airbnb, and they come into your short-term rental property and they totally just mess the place up, break things, leave the place really messy. There's trash all over the place, smoke marijuana or any other thing in your home when you clearly state no smoking. Those are the risks that you can't control, but they're calculated because the guests will only be there for a few days. So once they leave, you're able to go in and regroup. Airbnb or most short-term rental platforms, Booking.com, Vrbo, they also have coverage as well, so that if you put a claim in, they will cover it, right? So some of those things can be covered through an insurance coverage, right? Which is really awesome. So the risk, you have risk and then you have calculated risk. Risk is stuff like not having automation, so you have no idea what's going on with your thermostat, with your house being locked up, who is coming in, who's going out, are they opening all the doors and blasting the AC, or those things are stuff that you can control. What you cannot control is a guest that books the property, goes in there and just trash the place, right? You cannot control that, but there are insurance coverages on the platforms that once you send before and after, before pitch, make sure your cleaners are taking pictures before they move into the home, before they check into the home is what I should say. The real estate is still in my head, right? Make sure that your cleaners or your managers or whoever it is are taking pictures of what the home looked like before they move in, before they check in, and also when they leave, right? So when they leave, they could see all the pictures of what's going on, so they can't say it was like that when I moved in, when I checked in, right? It was like that when I checked in. I didn't do anything, right? And as far as smoking in the home, most people don't want smoking in their home. So there's ozone machine that could take the smoke out, but how do you prove that? How do you prove that a guest was smoking? Because if you put a claim in on the platform to say, hey, the guest booked and they smoked in my home and I clearly state no smoking is allowed in my home or my condo or whatever it is, how do you prove that? You prove it by deep cleaning. You then have to show that you had to do different deep cleaning to get the smell out, or you could ask the guest. As a matter of fact, there's a funny thing that goes on Facebook with this guy. He's on Toro and the guy smoked in his car, returned his car back, and he could not get paid for the cleaning because Toro is telling him, Toro is a platform that they rent cars on, right? So Toro is telling him, you got to prove that the guy really smoked in your car. So he sent the guy a text. He sent a text that said, hey, I'm getting my car ready for the next guest, and I noticed that there's some kind of smoke smell in my car. Could you tell me what you were smoking? Was it weed, cigarettes, or tobacco? And the guy texted back and said it was weed. So that was his evidence. It's so stupid, right? But some of the stuff you could do to get the guest to admit that they did smoke, but logically, more than likely, you would need to prove that you had to do extra cleaning to remove the smoke smell. So I hope this kind of gives you a gist of some of the risks that's involved in an Airbnb investment. My name again is Sandy Sills. I'm here in Central Florida. I own Airbnb properties. I manage Airbnb properties. I'm very aware of the Airbnb short-term rental space, and I like to use those words interchangeably because a lot of time, people will ask me, they would say, yeah, I'm looking to do an Airbnb, and I'll like, you'd say, looking to buy a short-term rental property. No, I'm looking for Airbnb property, right? It's the same thing, guys. Same thing. That's why I use it so interchangeably. Airbnb, short-term rental. Short-term rental means that someone is renting from you for under 30 days, right? So up to 29 days they're renting from you. So it could be from 1 day to 29 days, the short-term renting. And platforms that offer these services are Airbnb, Booking.com, Vrbo, Expedia, and all the other millions of websites they have out there that offers that service. Okay, so if you're interested in investing in an Airbnb property in the Orlando area, or maybe you already have one but you want to cut down your risk, feel free to give us a call or send us a text at 407-791-4713. Our information should be on the bottom below here or somewhere on the screen here. But get in touch with us and we'll be able to help you to successfully purchase and manage an Airbnb or several short-term rental properties. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you forgave me for all the throaty thing that was going on here this morning.